Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back this time with my main man, Martin, for our preview of Aston Villa against Brentford. Yes, the games are coming thick and fast. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I have got a 4,800 subscribers graphic, which I forgot to upload, but we are past 4,800. I think, Martin, we need about 160 now for 5k, so we're getting closer. The support has been amazing over the last few days, so thank you very much for your support, but we want to keep growing and keep progressing, so like, subscribe, get your comments flowing in as well. Yes, Martin, Aston Villa against Brentford tomorrow. Can we stop the rot?
Bit of a nerve. Yeah, bit of a nervy one, obviously, because there's a rock, but I think the confidence levels probably from the lads can be quite low at the minute. But I think it could be boosted with the fact that Brentford at the minute are one of the worst away teams in the league, in terms of the away table, which was probably good to see. But in terms of the rot and in terms of maybe the cliche of Villa, this could be their first away win of the season, but hopefully that's not the case and we can get back ourselves to winning ways.
Yes. Is it that old, haven't won away from home all season, worst defence in the league away from home all season? Come and play Aston Villa. We'll cure all of your ails. Could it be that, or could it be that we get back to winning ways? We're obviously hoping that will be the case. We're going to go through all of the predicted lineups, the threats that Brentford possess, the potential changes. I know you've got a bit of a left field starting lineup as well. So, yes, guys, get your comments and your thoughts heading into tomorrow's game. Where do you want to start, Martin? I mean, where is it going wrong at the moment for Aston Villa?
I think there's an element of a lot of things. I think, for one, the players have to take accountability for this because, at the end of the day, the manager can only do so much. In hindsight, if you're in any job, the employer gives you the tools. It's up to you to use them correctly. And that's the way it is for these players, that that Emery's giving them all the tools, giving them all the tactics, the instructions going into these players, and they're just not doing it. And then you can see the confidence are getting lower and lower and lower. And then there's also an element on the side of the management, chopping and changing. Probably the back line, I think, has been probably one of the main focuses. So the defensive chemistry is not really there. It's all over the place. And then you've got the lineup in terms of midfield and attack. It's just constant chops and changes, trying to be clever in this game, trying to be clever in that game. And it just doesn't work for me. I'd rather just have a consistent 11. Yes, fair enough if you have one or two changes, that doesn't disrupt the flow, because you always need your core spine of a starting 11. And then there's other bits as well that may be playing at the factor that, is it this Champions League hangover that we keep hanging on about, or is it, the PSR issues, or is it the fact that we didn't do enough in the summer? It's a mixture of everything, but I just think that, number one, for me, it's mainly the fact that it's the players, and then it comes into management. Everything else after that is just a bit of noise. So it's frustrating, but I think the players, in my opinion, have to take accountability for this sort of form for now, until you start to look at management.
Yeah, I mean, I know we talked on our WhatsApp group around that, and I think, yeah, it's ultimately, like you say, it's players at the moment just aren't playing well enough, particularly in those attacking areas, but obviously in defence as well, because we are conceding quite a few goals. I mean, I know Gareth had some stats about us not conceding too many chances per game in terms of what the XG goals against quality of chances is like, but we just seem to be conceding goals now, whether that's player mistakes, whether that's goalkeeping errors. It just obviously not going right. And when you do concede a goal early on, which we seem to be doing a lot, you're just facing an uphill battle then to try and get back in the game, and you end up being stretched, you end up being a bit more desperate, you end up trying
Mm.
things that you probably wouldn't have. And I know Emery goes for calmness and goes for creating and curating those chances, but sometimes it just needs purposeful intensity, not frantic intensity, but just a bit more urgency, just a bit more intensity,
Mm.
rather than
Yeah.
trying to act cool. Because the minutes tick by, and every minute that ticks by, the more the more desperate we seem to be to get. And it's like a battle. It's like a conflict between the two, trying to act calm, but then trying to force our way back in the game.
Yeah, there is that element as well. Like I know there's a fact of like, yes, you want to be calm in possession, you don't want to be rushing things, you don't want to be forcing the ball in between lines and everything else. But you're right in what you're saying. There needs to be that little bit of urgency, and I think that's what we're lacking in terms of pressing. I think that's just
Mm,
the main factor. We're just so easy to
yeah.
play against now at this minute, which is just so frustrating because you're seeing teams come through the middle of us. You're seeing teams coming through wide, running in behind is a main factor because I seen there against Crystal Palace, it was one pass into midfield and it was one pass straight in behind after that, and they go and score from it. So I think that the fact that our pressing has not been good enough, and when you look at the players that we have and the style that we're looking to play, Preston should be really suiting that system when you think about the workhorse that Ollie Watkinson can put in. You think what Leon Bailey can do when he gets himself into little pressing areas. John McGinn, Kamara. These are players that are well and capable to press, and it's just they're not doing it. So it just kind of seems like they're rather trying to press the zone as opposed to the player. And you need to be pressing the player because they're professional footballers, right?
Mm,
Yes, they can all pass the ball. That's great. But when you have a professional footballer pressing another professional footballer, it makes it that harder for a player to make that pass or to make that other bit of movement. So it's not necessarily just pressing the space. You need to also press the man. And when you're not pressing the man, it's easy then for him to move about and get another pass and create different angles. And that's just what it's been. These teams have been so coming to Villa Park or we're traveling to them, and they're saying that, oh, we can play against Villa now because if they leave this space open, they leave that space open. And we've just been exploited so much by it. And it's frustrating to see because last season we weren't even here. Like they couldn't get past us. We were putting teams offside. And now that's just kind of nearly been gone. And that's just the way it has
mm.
been, Rich.
Yeah. No, you sum it up pretty well, mate, to be honest. In the chat, Kevin said, amazing what a few defeats can do to our confidence, eh? Can we get a grip, guys and gals? It's Brentford, not bloody Liverpool. Well, we'll talk a bit about Brentford in a bit. Nick says, evening, guys. We just need a lucky 1-0 win. Own goal. I'll take that right now. I would as well, mate. Supporters need to lift it, says Setterstein. No odd glances. If someone near you is singing loud and proud, 100%,
Mm.
I know I'll be giving it my all, he said. And Kev, get back to basics. When in possession, go forward at pace. Wants Matson in the side as well. Remember, we're not a bad side. It's a great opportunity to get 3 points. And look, in terms of that, we know we're not a bad side, and we know we're on a bit of a bad run at the moment. We obviously know that, and I think it's just the level of
Mm.
performance and the passiveness that we've been seem to be in the games. Like, for me, it's the basics in terms of fighting for the ball, putting yourself about, showing a bit of heart, showing a bit of belief, having to go at players. That's what I want to see, even if you're not playing well. However, in terms of maybe providing a little bit of context, yes, we had a last kick of the game goal that went against us against Bournemouth, which happens at times. We obviously had a
Mm.
disappointing game against Crystal Palace, but we came back from being behind twice. But the other league games, in terms of Tottenham away, Liverpool away, and Chelsea away, not many teams are going to win at those grounds if you put it into context, are they?
No, but when you look, yes, you're right in what you're saying that when they go to these places, not many teams are going to win there. But when you look at our performances there, they don't make
Mm,
great readings because we
mhm.
left our like much space vulnerable in behind us against Liverpool, which should have been a big no-no when you think of Louis Diaz, Darwin Núñez, and Mo Salah, three probably the quickest players in the Premier League that are just going to destroy it. And we're not exactly a fast-paced team. And then you've got Chelsea who can have this like almost a blend of everything in terms of wingers and attackers and their midfielders, where they have one midfielder that can do the press, and then you've got someone like Cole Palmer who's got the elegance about him in the midfield. You've got Madubuki who's out wide, who's got pace and skill, can really take a player on, and you've got Pedro Neto on the other side who's so direct, and you've got
Mm.
Nicholas Jackson who can just and sit in the middle, and then you've got Tottenham who are just they're a yo-yo team, but like for some reason when they play at home, they seem to be battering teams, and when they go away, they don't seem to do well. But you're right because these are places you're not going to win. But when you look at our performances, we should have done a lot better, and we should have been a lot better tactical wise. Never mind performances, right? Because yes, performances does play a big part, Rich, and you're absolutely right in what you're saying. But the tactics as well, like you need to look at these tactics and go, right, what can we do that can nullify their strengths?
Mm.
And then we can get to the game. And that just didn't happen for me because I remember that when Emery first came in, we were playing a way that, right, let's do a tactic here that's going to nullify them. And then when we play to our strength as the game gets on. And that's how we won games. That's how we won at Stamford Bridge. That's how we won at White Hart Lane. Yes, fair enough, we didn't win at Liverpool, but we still showed that we could really play against them, and it didn't exactly hammer us, And these are the games that you have to kind of put your main tactics aside and play stuff to just nullify the bigger teams. And then when you're coming up against the smaller teams in the Premier League, that's where you need to do your own imprint and get into that game because they'll want to do stuff to stop us.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Like you say, they're all tough games. The cliche, every game in the Premier League is a tough game, but particularly those away games are always going to be very, very difficult. But you want to see, like you said, a level of performance and a level of concentration or whatever it is. Like I said, heart, belief, effort, leadership that kind of puts you into a situation where you give yourself an opportunity to win those games or at least get a good result in those games. And maybe we did against Tottenham, but we crumbled. We certainly didn't do ourselves any favours against Liverpool with the way we conceded a goal off our own set piece, and then obviously didn't learn again following and conceding many chances the same way. Then we did the same against Crystal Palace, and then we conceded a goal after 7 minutes against Chelsea. So we're certainly not doing ourselves any favours. But as
Mm.
lots of people in the chat have said, you now got two home games. First one starting against Brentford, where you want to kind of get back on track and put yourself in a much better position and get some of that confidence back. So with that in mind, in terms of I guess the performances of the players, what are you, without putting your starting lineup straight away, but what are you thinking? Because lots of debate on X, on various other social media about players and certain players either needing
Mm.
to come out of the side or certain players who aren't in the side being given an opportunity. So where's your head at with that at the minute?
My head is in an area where we need now to be ruthless with our starting lineup in terms of who's not performing right. And I'm not going to say any names without giving too much away, but if there's one particular player in a certain position who's not performing and missing chances, he needs to be dropped. It doesn't matter if you're number one or not. You need to be dropped because there's someone else performing, there's someone else getting games. And there's a picture there, Ollie Watkins, who has missed 13, big chances this season. That's according to the AVFC Stato, which I did see on Twitter. So there's your credit, me. Uh, and that's for a striker, that's really frustrating because yes, he gets himself into a great position to get these chances, but if you've got 13 big chances as a striker, you should at least be putting away 12 of them, at least in the Premier League, right? Because yes, Sanchez made himself big, but he still had a bit of a wide of a goal open, and Ollie Watkins tried to put it through his legs, trying to be clever. And it's sometimes not about being clever; it's just take the easiest option, just pass it into the goal. I know I sound like Roy Keane saying that's your job, but like it's really frustrating. So that's why I think like John Duran should probably start this game because it's a midweek game. It'd be a chance for him to get a lot of minutes under his belt, because he's only really been getting 15, 20 minutes here and there.
Yeah, he hasn't been
And
given that.
that's not
And
enough for him.
yeah, I mean, for me, the Watkins opportunity from Sunday, the first one that he had, that was put into context. I don't know if you've seen it tonight, but the finish that Jamie Vardy just had for Leicester was pretty much exactly the same position that Ollie Watkins was in, and he hits it the same in the same way with the inside of the foot,
Mm.
and he just doesn't go through the goalkeeper's legs. He goes outside of the goalkeeper's left foot from the position that he's in, and just he rolls it into the bottom corner. And we're talking about just wanting to score goals, just finishing the opportunity, whether it's that level of concentration, whether it's like you say, the trying to be too clever, or whether it's just getting that ruthlessness back into Ollie Watkins, and
Mm.
maybe, like you said, dropping him from the team, giving him saying you need to sit on the bench, giving John Duran an opportunity, because he isn't going to do that. Come on and be super sub. He's shown that he hasn't been able to do it for the last 5 or 6 games, and that's not realistic to ask him to be able to do that. It just isn't. No player is going to be able to keep coming on and scoring a goal within 5 minutes of getting on the pitch. And at the moment, when he's coming on, we're
Yeah.
hardly even giving him the ball. He's just running around trying to get himself into the game, and we're just not giving him enough opportunities to. So I'm kind of in agreement with you that at least one of these 2 games, John Duran has to get a start.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because, I think he's still our top goal scorer this minute in terms of all competitions. So, I mean, you should be starting your top goal scorer if that's the case. If I'm wrong, please tell me, people in the comments, or if you know, Rich, please tell me. But if you're the top goal scorer of the team, you should be starting.
I think Ollie's our top scorer at the minute with 6. But Duran's, I mean, in all competitions, Duran might be. But Ollie's got 6 Premier
Yeah,
League
that's what I was
goals.
thinking. All competition, because
Yeah,
Duran, he got
yeah.
a goal against Wickham,
Well,
against
yeah.
Bayern
Well, Ollie
Munich. He's
hasn't
got a
scored.
couple in the Premier League.
Ollie hasn't scored in the Champions League yet. So
No.
yeah. A few comments coming in. Where are we? James said, Unai gambled with the League Cup and the Bruges game. Yes, he did. The Villa fan says, call me crazy, but if 60 to 70 million came in for Watkins in the summer, I'm pulling the trigger. He's too inconsistent, and for as much as you can't score every chance, the chances he misses, he just can't. Carbon copy misses that he's been doing nearly every season. Yeah, I mean, we obviously asked that question a few weeks ago, didn't we? And I think we both kind of agreed that if the bid came in, then it would potentially be Ollie Watkins that we'd say. And look, I didn't like the way he looked at Unai Emery when he got taken off the other day. I don't know if you noticed it, but I just didn't like his body language when he got brought off. Maybe he was just annoyed with the performance. Maybe he was annoyed with the situation that we're in terms of losing the game. But I just didn't like his body language when he came off. I just think he needs to be taken out of the firing line a little bit just for his own sake and get that hunger back, get that fire back. And if he does want a move, and he wants to play for a move, then the only way he's going to do that is by putting the ball in the back of the net and playing well.
Yeah, that's it. Of course, he had a great summer with England at the Euros. He obviously had a good season before that. And look, he's got himself a couple of goals, and that's great. But when you look at the chances that he's had and the amount of chances that he's missed, he should be on a lot more. He should be. And he knows that himself. Maybe he is disappointed at that he hasn't scored as much as he has, or maybe he's disappointed at the fact that he had such a great season that he didn't get a big move like a lot of players would have expected, or maybe even being linked to somewhere. It just didn't happen. So there could be that element as well. You never know with football, because you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So there's probably a lot he's annoyed by, but I think if it's going to be one main factor, I think he'd be annoyed by the fact that he's missed so many chances.
Yeah. Now, another point to raise is, yes, we can criticise Watkins. We can say John Duran needs more opportunities. They're the ones who scored the most goals in the Premier League, and the supporting staff, in terms of the players behind them, quite frankly, haven't been doing anywhere near enough. John McGinn hasn't scored. Yuri Tielemans hasn't scored. Leon Bailey hasn't scored. Rogers has scored a couple. Tielemans hasn't scored. Onana has scored a couple. Ramsey's obviously injured, but he hasn't scored. Jaden Philogene hasn't even looked like even creating a chance, let alone scoring. So what are we doing with this support? This attacking support for Ollie Watkins and for John Duran if he ends up playing, because at the moment it just isn't clicking whatsoever.
No, it's not ticking whatsoever, and you're right. I think there's an element of this, and I think I could probably point this, unfortunately, at Unai Emery, because there's this stubbornness of probably playing Bailey, trying to get him into form, and it wasn't happening. And then you're replacing him with a player, in my opinion, in Philogene Bidace. After the last few weeks of watching him, he's just not Premier League level, and that's just the reality of it. Like he's probably one of them players that would be too good for the Championship, but he's just not good enough for the Premier League. Because when he was in the Championship, he was tearing it to pieces. Rabona goals, which got nominated for the battle for the, obviously the goal of the year
Pushkas
for.
Award. Yeah.
Yeah, the Pushkas Award. Yeah, he got nominated for that. The only Championship goal ever to get nominated for that, by the way. But even in saying that, I think the Championship is probably his level, and that is a harsh thing for me to say normally, but I just think that's what it is. And then you have Ramsey, who's constantly coming in and out of injury, so trying to play him into form is really hard. Onana, yes, you could say he's probably a little bit harsh in terms of Onana, because he actually got himself a couple of goals. He's been really good in midfield
He's
as
been
well,
injured
but
as well.
obviously he's been injured as well, so it's probably a little bit harsh in too early days to try and criticize him to any sort of degree. Tielemans hasn't really been. Yes, he's great in possession, and he's such a good centre midfielder, but he's not adding goals to his games when he could be. And Kamara, obviously being out injured. McGinn, in my opinion, does great for Scotland and brilliant for Scotland, getting the goals, getting assists, really creative and good tenacity about him. But for some reason, not bringing it to Villa at this minute in time, not chipping in with the goals, not chipping in with that assist, not chipping in with that tenacity. And I think then for this game, he probably should be dropped as well. And it's really frustrating. Rodgers, yes, he's got a few goals himself, but he's kind of dipped as well. Maybe it was this post-contract talk that you always play into in players' heads. When they get this big contract, and then after they get it, the form starts to dip.
Yeah, well, the strange thing is for me is the Barkley and McGinn conundrum is they just seem so static. They're just standing in the same position, and then we have John McGinn kind of doing his usual when he receives the ball, trying to roll his man with his backside, which every man and his dog knows now that that's what he's going to do. And I thought in a couple of games, I thought we're getting back to that bustling, running forward, attacking the space, John McGinn, but didn't see that at all on Sunday. And him playing out on the left side, just isolated, is not doing him any favours. And then Morgan Rogers, just that decision making, like at the moment, his controlling touch isn't good enough when he's got his back to goal. So it's bouncing off him. Then he's trying to run at players and he's ending up running into players. Then he's trying to play it first time and his quality isn't good enough. So I just feel like at the moment, every single decision that Morgan Rogers is making is the incorrect decision. And we end up giving the ball away.
Yeah.
And I'm just not seeing it. And also, I could count on one hand the number of shots that those attacking midfielders or central midfielders or wingers have had in the last 5 games. I can think of John McGinn having an effort on Sunday that was called offside that would probably have given onside had it gone in. That's it. I can't think of any other midfielder having a shot at all.
Yeah, it really is worrying signs, but hopefully the game tomorrow, the lads can probably get a bit of breath of life back into them with probably a bit of a change to the lineup. I know I harped on about the fact that change and chop and change the lineup, but probably for the better this time in terms of trying to play players that want to play and have this hunger that have come from sitting on the bench.
Yeah. A few comments coming in. Barry says, Barkley in for McGinn and move Yuri forward. Villa fan said, I agree there. Philogene isn't ready for the Prem pace. I'll give him the Bayern performance, but the fact he's Diaby's replacement is poor. But PSR was the reason he came in. Diaby is badly missed at right wing. And the Villa fan also did some analysing of our weaknesses. And Alan Shearer he nailed the head. He hit the nail on the head here. Tielemans seems to be a weakness at the moment. He leaves too much space, and it's a problem. And that's where you think
Mhm.
maybe what he was trying to do with Onana, getting him to maybe dovetail with Tielemans, and obviously, hopefully, Kamara, if he can keep his fitness building up, can really help with that. PJJ says now that Kamara's back, we should go three at the back with two wide midfielder wing backs, Leo Nana or McBarkley, and move Tielemans forward. We'll come to that maybe. Lots of people talking about that potential five at the back, including K. Five at the back, Booba and Onana sitting in front. Fingers crossed that would get us a clean sheet at least. So just before we kind of talk on your starting lineup in terms of the press conference for Unai Emery, there was doubts about Emi Martinez. We're still kind of in the
Mhm.
dark over that. I think he's going to leave that right until the last minute, which is going to be a real shame if he's out. Although I don't think in the Premier League he's been quite as sharp as he has in the Champions League. And then still Onana, I think he's still injured, and Jacob Ramsey not going to be back for another 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah, what do you think of the kind of what Emery was giving in the press conference? Do you think Emi Martinez will be fit? Do you think he'll? Do you think Onana and Ramsey still a big miss?
I don't think Emmy is going to be fit. Yeah, I think this game is too soon. Maybe the weekend would be better suited for him. So I just think this game is a game that he's just going to have to write off. Onana and Ramsey, huge misses at this minute. The presence of Onana with his height and his strength that really helps us, and Ramsey being a huge miss as well in terms of ball carrying in
Mm.
possession, getting us high up the pitch and getting us great set pieces in dangerous areas. So it's it's a complicated one because of that. And you know, in my opinion, then I'd be going for Joe Gauchi in goals. I wouldn't go near Robin Olsen as much. I know a lot of people give him stick, but I'd be going for Joe Gauchi. I think he could be ready for this game.
Interesting. Well, let's put people out of their misery. But Blebenham said Olsen, Dina, Torres, Konsa, Cash, Kamara, Yuri, Matson on left wing, McGinn, Bailey, and Duran. Barry said Olsen equals the ultimate cure for constipation. Lee thinks
Oh,
going
jeez.
five. I know, yeah. Lee thinks going five at the back and two DMs is just screaming panic in the camp. However, Bear in the Garden says need five at the back, have to start by keeping clean sheets. So let's get your starting lineup up, Martin, and talk us through, because it is a bit of a left field choice here.
Yeah, I did was thinking to myself it was a bit of a left field choice, but the fact that all these comments are saying they want five at the back and three at the back, it seems like we all were in a bit of the same wavelength. But yeah, I've gone with Joe Gauchi in goals. I've gone with a back three of Conza, Carlos, and Pau Torres. I've then got my wing backs with Matty Cash and Matson because I feel like Matty Cash goals contribution is actually a lot better when he plays at wing back for some reason. Ian Matson, who's got the pace and the fitness, I think, to do left wing back. With a midfield two then of Kamara and Tielemans, I think it's a solid midfield partnership at this minute, although, it's still kind of leaking between the whole area between the midfield and defence. And then I've gone with a bit of a left wing choice now in terms of like with two attacking midfielders, more two inside forwards to try and make that middle of the pitch more compact with Leon Bailey on the right and Morgan Rogers on the left. And then up top, I've gone with John Duran for a bit of physical battles with centre halves because I know he can do that and really be a target man in the box. So those would be the choice I'd be going for. Maybe obviously in Commons people have different choices, of course, but that's one that I was thinking of, and hopefully that can be a team to get 3 points.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the principle of three at the back. I would probably stump for Tyrone Mings instead of Diego Carlos if it was going to be three at the back. I just think if we go with that, I think we need talking and we need leadership, and I think we're missing voices on the pitch. So that would be my thought if he does that. I think it's maybe a bit too soon for him to throw everything out, including the kitchen sink, and go like 3-5-2 or 5-3-2 or whatever it is. But I do understand, and I think there's certainly a case to be made for being a bit more solid. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but do Brentford play with a three at the back with three centre backs? I know they did last
No,
season.
they're going with a. I think they've gone with a more offensive 4-3-3. They've done it against
Oh,
Leicester.
okay,
They've done it in
right,
previous games as well, and at home they've done really well, but away from home, not so much.
right. But yeah, I mean, Gauchi or Olsen, I thought Olsen did okay when he came on. I think that shows that he's I guess, the second choice goalkeeper. But I just think we need, yeah, we just, I would be tempted to bring in Tyrone Mings for this type of run, for these couple of games, just to get some leadership back in the side, get some voices. I just thought they looked lost on Sunday, and I think sometimes
Mm.
you need to be you need someone who's big enough to say, right, we're in the hole here. Like, I know the manager's telling us to do this. I know the manager's telling us to keep doing this, but we can't do this. We're going to end up getting absolutely battered here. And I know we're playing Brentford and Southampton, so the onus will be on us a little bit, but we just need that. We need someone to be able to take responsibility on the pitch and maybe take the game into their own hands a little bit. The only player that we have who kind of does that, who's fully in the kind of around the starting team or on the fringes, is John Duran. Like, he's the only one who will step onto the pitch and go, right, sod what Unai Emery is saying. I'm going to play my own game. I'm going to win this game for Villa. And I just think sometimes we need that. We need that kind of leadership sometimes to say, look, like, we're 1-0 up. Let's just hold on to this lead. Let's not do anything stupid. Or we're 1-0 down. We need to up the tempo. Or, Ollie, you shouldn't have missed that chance. Like, sort yourself out. Or, why aren't you chasing him? Or, why aren't you doing that? Like, I just don't see anyone calling anyone out on the pitch. And I think we need that.
No, yeah, no, you're dead. You're absolutely dead right. Because you're looking at the game and you're thinking, will someone just give a bollocking? Like,
Yeah.
just give out to somebody. Like, just give a bollocking. Like, so what if they can't take it? It's nothing personal. It's absolutely nothing personal. Just someone say, look, this is not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. And just take it and then play the game differently. Just tuck in, put in a tackle. Doesn't matter what you have to do. Just do something that's going to change the game and change the way that we're going to play and get momentum on our side. Because if we don't do that, we're just going to get run over by teams every week.
Yeah. Even like a big tackle, or like just putting it on one of their players, get a yellow card, like smash
Yeah,
into someone just to break it
yeah,
up, just to break the rhythm,
yeah.
like just to change the
Yeah,
momentum,
and
something
I and
like
I give
that.
you yeah, and I give you one good example. Probably the only time I've actually ever seen it. Remember the game in the FA Cup years ago when we were drawn 1-0 with Leicester? Kind of really wasn't going our way, and Kieran Clark just makes one big tackle on Jeffrey Shull, and he goes flying, and all of a sudden the crowd just erupts and just thinking that was an unbelievable tackle, and the players felt that, and we go on to win that game 2-1. And that's just what you need sometimes. Just something that gives you a lift to say, yeah, if he's on it, I have to be on it, and I have to be on it. That's what you need. Just one big tackle or one big moment to make you go, yeah, this is now where we step up.
Mm, yeah, yeah. A few comments. Bear in the Garden says leadership and a voice is vital. PJJ says spot on, Rich. We need a good few on-field bollockings going on. John with his starting team says Olsen, Cash, Conson, Mings, Dina, Barkley and Kamara as the double pivot in midfield. Matson and Bailey on the wings. Tielemans as a 10 and with Watkins up front. Rachel says agree with mostly except for McGinn. She'd have McGinn in for Barkley. I'm not having McGinn at the minute. I'm really not. But I quite like Barkley at the minute. But again, I think Barkley for 60 or 70 minutes, I think would be good. I do think he runs out of steam after 70 minutes or so. Like, really, against Crystal Palace, we're really, really hanging on. But I do like him at the minute. Guys, please do hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. As I said before, we are over the 4,800 mark. heading on, sprinting to 4,850 on the road to 5K. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Follow us on X as well at Villa Park Pod and at Marto Leonardo. And also check out our TikTok as well. It's doing bits at the minute at Villa Park Pod. I think it's Villa Park Pod or Villa Park Podcast. Some of our clips on there. I had a little rant the other day, which has gone slightly viral. So if you want to have a laugh, follow our TikTok as well. But in terms of our opponents tomorrow night, as i.e. Wednesday night, Brentford, they are, as you said before, Martin, they are very entertaining, concede goals, but they also score quite a few goals as well. And the main threat, old Brian and Mbeumo, a lot of clubs wanted list, including possibly Aston Villa as well. And Johan Wissa, very, very, very good player, very threatening player. And yeah, we have to watch out for these two. You with us? Oh, I think we might have lost Martin. But yeah, Mbeumo and Wissa, big, big threats for us. We really need to watch out for them because they've got pace and we know how tough they are to get past. We know how easy they can penetrate our defensive line and how weak our defensive line has been. And I'm really concerned about Mbeumo and Wissa, particularly Wissa, because he has scored a lot of goals of late. And he's come back from injury, done very, very well since he's come back, scored on the weekend. And Kevin Schade, who got a hat-trick as well, is very, very pacey, very, very dangerous. Now, they are missing, I think it's Jensen, missing him. So he's or Janssen, I think he's a big, big player for them. So that could be something for Villa. But, in terms of Brentford, they're a very, very, very dangerous side and one that we need to, and players that we really need to watch out for. Anyone else in the comments think who they are, who we need to watch out for? I think, obviously, as I said, Mbeumo and Wissa, the main threats, the main danger men. But anyone else who would worry you? I think set pieces as well, they can be pretty dangerous at. Big centre-backs. And we need to be wary of them on set pieces. Obviously, we're pretty good on set pieces as well. But in terms of them, I think we need to be really, really on our game for set pieces. Sorry, Martin, just lost you there. I was just talking about the threat that Brentford will pose in terms of Wissa and Mbeumo. Obviously, a player who's wanted by a lot of clubs. So that's a threat in terms of getting in behind. Kevin Schade as well, who got a hat-trick the other day. Very, very pacey. But also the set pieces, I think they've got some big players as well. So, yeah, how do you see Villa coping with the threat in behind of Wissa and Mbeumo and Schade, and also potential that set piece danger as well?
Yeah, sorry, just had a bit of internet issue there for a second. Yeah, look, Wissa he's a bit of a fox in the box, isn't he? Like, that's the old cliche in terms of centre forwards. He's a natural poacher, and but he does put in a lot of work ethic as well in terms of off the ball and giving a lot of centre halves hassle, which I think our centre halves going to have a lot of work cut out for them. Brian Mbeumo, a fantastic winger. That's a player I'd love to have at Aston Villa. He's really direct. He gets himself into good positions, good goal scoring positions too. He'll be a real threat. And Kevin Schade getting himself a hat-trick. That one came out of nowhere, obviously. There you go. He's very good, pacey, direct. They've got a lot of direct players, Brentford, and that's something that we're really going to struggle with if we're not on our game.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, we know that they can concede goals. I think last season's game against them at Villa Park showed the topsy-turvy nature of Brentford. And if we look at the stats in terms of the head-to-head against them in the Premier League, there have been very entertaining games of general. 6 times we've played them in total. Villa have only won 2 of those games. There's been 3 draws, and Brentford have won 1 of those games. They haven't beaten us away from home yet, he says, and their away form isn't good this season either. But 3-3 draw last season. Villa coasting into a 2-0 lead, thinking the game was done and dusted. Then Brentford somehow go 3-2 up. We gifted them 2 of those 3 goals, I'm sure of it. in an 11-minute spell, and then we managed to get it back to 3-3 with Ollie Watkins. We beat them 2-1 around sort of this time last year. Great comeback. I think they did go down to 10 men, though, that allowed us back into the game. Moreno and Watkins with the goals. Season before that, 1-1 and 4-0 win when the game after Steven Gerrard left. And then before that, a 2-1 victory for Brentford in 2022. So, like I say, there's always goals in the game. And in terms of the form, don't want to look at that for Aston Villa. I mean, doesn't make for good reading. We have 2 points from the last 5 games.
Yeah.
Brentford have 10 points from the last 5 games, so in very good form. But as we say, look, those games, apart from the Everton game, which was 0-0, lots of goals in their games, very entertaining. They're currently in 8th position. They've won 6 of their games. Villa have won 5. They've lost 5 games. Villa have lost 4. So in terms of points, I think we're maybe one or 2 points behind them. So it's very close, but certainly a game where we need to win to get ourselves back, really, really back on track, Martin, because if we draw again, draws don't get you anywhere in the league. If we lose, what sort of questions will we be asking if we get beat?
It'd be tough. Is it going to be the point now we start to ask questions? Because a 9-game rot is not normal in terms of, dropping form and really struggling to win games. When you look at you can write the Liverpool game off to some degree, but any other game, if some draws are great results, right? In terms of, if you know you're not going to win the game and you get a draw, it's a great result. But then you have to be winning your games you can win. Your Bournemouths, your Crystal Palaces. These are games that we should be winning. And that's just in hindsight. And that's no disrespect to the two clubs. But when you look at the caliber of players that they've got and what we've got, we should be beating them.
Especially at home.
And then, especially at home is right, because that's the fortress. That should be our bread and butter. No one should be coming to Villa Park to beat us, regardless. I mean, how can we have a team that beat Bayern Munich at home and then struggle to beat Bournemouth as a Palace a few weeks later? It's just, it doesn't make for good reading. And I remember when we drew with Palace after the rot that we had before the international break, people thought, the rot stopped. In my opinion, the rot doesn't stop at a draw. It doesn't stop at just one win. A rot kind of stops at when you get 2 or 3 wins on the bounce. That's when a rot stops for me, and then you can go forward from there. So it's not a case of just winning this game. It's winning this game and the game on the weekend. They're the games that, if we can get through this week with 2 wins, then for me, that's kind of the rock on.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, obviously, that was the negative kind of glass half empty perspective. But in terms of glass half full perspective, if we do get the victory tomorrow, what do you think that does for the spirits around the club, and moving on to the next game against Southampton and the games after that?
Look, if we get a win tomorrow, I think it certainly lift spirits in the camps. I think they'll look at the Southampton game with a little bit more confidence at the fact that they've beaten a team that they know we're very good tactically, with a good manager in Thomas Frank. So the confidence certainly will raise in terms of playing style, tacticals, and everything else that will come into fold. So hopefully the confidence can really jump up for the players, and not just for the players, but for Unai Emery as well, and to put them at ease. Right, Rostov, now we're in the business side of it, because December is a grueling month, as we all know. So if we get at least 2 to 3 wins, or 3 to 4 wins in December, we're putting ourselves in a really good position. So that'll be one thing he'll want to be looking at. And then if we then win on Sunday, or is Sunday or is it Saturday against Brentford or Southampton?
Saturday against Southampton.
So if we win on Saturday, then you're talking going into the next game with a huge sense of confidence at the fact that we've got ourselves 2 win on the bounce.
Yeah. Barry said, "We're done for, let's face it," and then said he was just joking. And Jonathan says, "Guys, we overachieved. This is our level. A 6th to 10th place team will have these type of results." Well, look, I don't disagree, and I think, look, sixth position, I would certainly take that at the moment. I just like a couple of wins to get us back on track, which hopefully we can do in the next couple of games. We're going to do score predictions in a minute. I was going to do some more chat around different. For obviously Tuesday night's usually fans forum night, but we've got a game tomorrow, so I think we'll part that. We'll move that to another show in terms of kind of discussions around PSR tickets and all that and transfers. We'll do another show for that. We'll stick to Brentford for now, but. What I want to do is get people's predictions, score predictions in the chat. So please do get your score predictions in. In terms, I just want to talk about our sponsors, Football Prizes. We obviously have the Morgan Rogers signed shirt competition. If I can find it, I haven't prepared very well, but at the moment, I think the competition ends on Thursday, and it's a signed Morgan Rogers shirt. Here we are, the Aston Villa prize plus 14 instant win prizes. There's still just over 100 tickets available. We've got just under a day left. So Thursday, the 5th of December, the competition ends. Tickets cost $3.95. So do visit footballprizes.co.uk. They have some fantastic other prizes as well, some general prizes available. But this one for Aston Villa specific is Morgan Rogers signed and custom framed Villa shirt, plus the opportunity to win 14 instant win prizes, including a signed Ross Barkley shirt. Just under 24 hours to go to get your tickets. So as I said before, visit footballprizes.co.uk and search for the Aston Villa prize. So what are we looking like in the chat for score predictions? Where have we got here? Lots of people talk about the pressing, and I think that was your point that you made before. And I think in general before the score predictions, getting back to that fast start, we keep saying it, and particularly at home, we want to get to that fast start and pressing teams, and we want to be the team that scores an early goal. Like, what's happened to that? Like, I'd really love that, because that would really get the crowd on side. And I know Unai has talked specifically about the crowd being with the players, but we have to see something from the players in terms of starting the game. Like, I don't want to see the ball go back to the goalkeeper and him stand on the ball for 30 seconds. Like, we need a fast start to get the crowd on side.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know Brentford are definitely having a couple of fast starts this season, but we would love one, just to really press them, get a good start. Even if it's not a goal, you might hit the crossbar early on, or you hit the post, or you force the keeper and an unbelievable save and get a corner out of it. It'll just lift spirits, be like, yeah, if this is how we're starting, let's go for it. And then that'll just lift the crowd. And if you get a goal, great, it'll lift them even more. So just something that to say to us, yes, we're off our seats only in the first 5 minutes of the game, and we're off our seats, and then that just keeps you going for another 85 minutes of the game. So if we can do that, and then obviously for people at home that are watching, then if you're watching on your telly or you're watching in the pub, and you get off your seat in the first 5 minutes, it'll even lift spirits for yourself. So of course, get ourselves a fast start. Let's get an early goal, and let's try and put the game to bed early doors.
Yeah, I agree. Well, David isn't in good spirits. He's saying we're going to lose 3-2. Unfortunately, Deontay said he's currently thinking Aston Villa 2, Brentford 2. John 2-0 Villa. K 1-1. So a few draws in there. Jason says 1-1 as well. Rachel said she had a draw, but now with no Martinez, 3-1 Brentford. Wow, it's going to get worse before he gets better. Colin said we will get a corner in the first 5 minutes and Brentford will run up the pitch and score. Please, we can't. I don't think my heart will be able to take it. Jason said we need a plan A, B, and C. Yeah. Colin says 2-1 Villa. And Stephen said, on the bright side, we've beaten Munich. We should have beaten Juve and we're 4 points off Man City. Laugh out loud. Yes, we are. We can always look at the bright side, Stephen. And he says 2-2. And Kevin said, yes, some pretty glass half empty fans on here. Look, a win will put everything right, Kevin. You're one of the most positive on here. Even the other Kevin, we're having to talk him around in the WhatsApp group. He is on the floor at the minute. And we're more positive than our Kevin at the minute. Michael says 2-0 Villa. PJJ says 2-1. Let's be positive. Peter Collins said, yes, we can. Come on, you Villa boys. Aston Villa 1, Brentford 0. So, Martin, what are you saying about the game tomorrow? Score and scorers.
I'm going to go 2-1 Villa because a clean sheet just does not happen. Scorers. I'm going to go with John Duran, and I will back a Matty Cash goal.
Oh, interesting. But he's going to have to shoot. He's going to have to shoot first.
Yeah, he's going to have to shoot first, of course. And then for a goal score for Brentford, I'll go with Wisa.
Yeah, good shout. Good shout. Stephen says 4-1 Villa. Believe.
Come on,
Kevin
Stephen,
said the result is all that matters. Win it and we can roll into the Southampton game with some confidence. And Jerry is where we would all love to be, Martin, watching from Jamaica. 2-1 Villa. There we go. There we go. Good man. Good man. I hope the weather is good over there, mate, and you're enjoying it. I'm going to say 3-1 to Aston Villa. And I'm going to say John... Yeah, 3-1. I'm going to say John Duran is going to score as well. I'm going to say Leon Bailey is going to score. I'm willing him to score. I think he needs a goal. If anyone needs a goal, it's Leon Bailey. And then I think Ollie will come off the bench and grab a goal as well. But I don't think we're going to make it easy for ourselves. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That will always be the Villa way now. We never make anything easy on ourselves.
Yes, exactly. Win it any which way, says Jason. And Rachel says by hook or by crook, as they say. But look, we know that a win will take us quite high in this league. You know, it will take us back up into, I'd imagine, something like 7th or 8th, which then going into that Southampton game will fill us with, will certainly make the fans, the supporters feel a lot better in terms of, you know, where we could then go to after Saturday. Because again, glass half full, if we get these 2 wins, we could be looking at being in the top 6 by Saturday night.
Yeah, that'd be great. At least then I can go into my exam week next week with a bit of confidence. I feel like
That's it, mate.
I'm going into my exam and boom.
Yeah, you'll be strutting in, chest out, Villa, top 6 again, ready for the Champions League against Leipzig. There we go. We'll be back. Everything will be right with the world, mate.
Please,
exactly.
God.
Good man. Right, I think we will call it a night there. Thank you very, very much in the chat. As I say, we will do another, I think just because the games are coming thick and fast, we'll do a fans forum at some point, either this week or back again next week when we, to be honest, we've got Champions League next week. I don't know where we're going to fit all these shows in, Martin, but yes, we will try and get a fans forum in at some point. But hopefully we can get back to winning ways tomorrow. We need some positivity. I can't keep doing these rants all the time. I can't keep being angry. Let's get a win. Let's be happy, and let's get the Villa back on track. Thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Help us continue on that road to 5K. Martin, thank you for joining me. Thank you everyone for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.